again, either my wife or my son, I will hurt you.
You'll never hurt me. You will never leave me.
If you love mystery thrillers, then you've definitely heard of the HBO series The Undoing. The show was released in 2020 and got a lot of support from fans for the gripping storyline and characters, and was given a lot of praise. After the first series ended, many were left wondering, will there be a season 2? And if so, when? Although many are hopeful, it unfortunately looks like series 2 of The Undoing will not happen. In today's video, we'll be talking about why The Undoing season 2 won't happen. If you're interested to know, keep watching. Before we begin this video, if you enjoy content like this, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and make sure to turn on post notifications so you can be the first to hear about my next video. Alright, let's get into it. Number 1. What is The Undoing? The Undoing is an HBO show created by David E. Kelley, which revolves around the story of a therapist's life unraveling after he learns that her husband might be responsible for a disaster. The mystery drama stars Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant, and is based on the 2014 novel You Should Have Known by Jean-Hanf Corlins. The Undoing premiered on HBO on October 25, 2020, and was premiered as a short 6-episode miniseries. After the premiere of The Undoing, fans were immediately hooked on the show and asked if season 2 would be coming soon, even though season 1 had only just been released. However, it definitely doesn't look likely that season 2 of The Undoing would happen for a number of reasons. Now, let's get into some of the reasons that The Undoing season 2 won't happen. Number 2, what did the director say? Director of The Undoing, Susan Beer, mentioned in an interview with EW that she wanted the show to be contained to just one season. This is a tight story. This is why I think 6 hours is perfect. There's something about 6 that just has a natural arc, she says. This is a pretty valid point, and since we've found out what we need to know, having a whole new storyline for the second season would be difficult. Would the story have to change completely? Would it be the same characters as a continuation of season 1 with new information that we hadn't guessed before? These are all questions that a director, writer, and production team have to think about before even planning on a season 2, because they want to make sure that the audience would still be engaged with a different storyline. Many producers and directors avoid making too many seasons of a popular show in the fear that this story will be overdone, and audiences will no longer be interested, which would cause the show to lose money and fans after an already successful first season. Although The Undoing is a short show, it's definitely an entertaining one, and perhaps if it went on any longer, it would lose its momentum, which wouldn't be what the producers or the fans want. Number 3, what did Nicole Kidman say? Nicole Kidman, who stars in Undoing alongside Hugh Grant, also mentioned her thoughts about it being a short series. It's not like a drama series where you're not quite sure how they're going to evolve and you have a next season. That's why I say it's like cinema, because you have a beginning, middle, and end. The thing about a limited series is that it's so difficult because you're writing a much longer form of cinema that you have to keep people engaged in. And in some ways, that's so much harder. That, as an actor, is delicious. Kidman's response to her interview also just shows that there is very little chance of The Undoing being renewed for a second season, simply because it was set up to be a limited series based on one book. Making a new storyline would also take away from this storyline in the mystery that the show creates for the viewer. The Undoing was clearly only set up for a short series, so the whole creative team and actors were ready for that. Therefore, they didn't even prepare for the possibility of a second series after receiving an overwhelmingly positive response from the audience after its release. Whether they've discussed a possibility of season 2 now, we're not entirely sure. Number 4, Hugh Grant chimed in too. Grant, who plays a starring role in The Undoing alongside Nicole Kidman, mentioned that he thinks series 2 is a no-go. I don't see how a second season could be done. I honestly don't. If I'm in prison, I'm guilty. It would have to be a spin-off about my time in prison. He does give a pretty good point, to be honest. Now that we've already uncovered so much of the storyline, it'd be kind of weird to see how far they could go with it and what would happen next. New characters would definitely have to be added, and the whole storyline would have to be changed in some sort of way. Plus, Hugh Grant's character wouldn't be able to play a huge part in the second season if he was guilty. Grant was nominated for a Golden Globe Award after his performance, so the show is still thriving from season 1. Either way, season 2 is still not a thought, even if it was a possibility. What do you think about Grant's character? If season 2 was a possibility, would you want to see what happened to him, or do you like the mystery of what might have happened? Number 5, is there a possibility of a season 2? Even though the director and the actors don't think there's a possibility for season 2, I guess we can never say never. There are many shows that have only meant to go on for a limited series but have been renewed for season 2 due to popular demand, so this could definitely be a big possibility since many fans are asking about a season 2. Even though the show's based on the book, writer and creator of The Undoing, David E. Kelley, has discussed drawing on the ending to make way for another season. Spoiler alert, if you haven't already read the book, Kelley says, Suzanne Bier and I both loved the part of the book where Grace was rebuilding herself after her world fell apart. But for the purposes of this run, it was more about the thriller aspect. Who knows? If we did the extended life of Grace Fraser beyond the season of The Undoing, maybe we'd get into that reconstruction part. So although season 2 may seem unlikely now, there's always a possibility because it definitely seems like the writer and director of The Undoing have discussed more material to talk about if they wanted to continue the show. What really depends now is if the two agree that they want to do a show and if the rest of the team and HBO is willing to make that happen. Only time will tell, but for now, you also have the book to read. Number 6, what could the storyline be if there was a season 2? Even though it seems as though all the information was given in season 1, there's still actually a lot to explore, as Kelley mentioned previously about Grace's character and how she deals with her life falling apart. If a second series of the show was to happen, we could see how the Fraser family deals with all the trauma of the first season, specifically Grace, as now she has to also address how her son, Henry, deals with the situation. Did Henry possibly inherit any of his father's violent tendencies? And will he start going to therapy after everything that's happened? It'd be interesting to see how Henry's character develops as he'll be older in season 2, and we'd see how he deals with the aftermath of the situation. In the final episode of season 1, Henry found his father's murder weapon, but to avoid him getting prosecuted, he also ran it through the dishwasher twice. However, Grace has already discovered the truth that Jonathan is a sociopath, and he's more than capable of killing Elena, the victim in question from the beginning of the show. Jonathan then puts Henry in his passenger seat and decides to drive to Canada and begs his son to remember his true legacy, obviously desperate for his son to still love him after he's committed such a horrible crime. He then parks on a bridge and almost jumps, but changes his mind with just enough time for Grace to appear and save her son. This is obviously a lot to unpack, and even though it seems like the storyline could end just fine at season 1, there is definitely a lot that could be talked about in season 2. Like mentioned before, Henry's reaction to all of this is definitely going to be interesting to look at, as well as Grace's. To see how the two interact after this incident will take at least an episode to unpack, as well as Jonathan's character. Will he be proven guilty and go to jail? Will we see the trial? And how will his relationship with his son change in prison? These are a lot of great questions, but the unfortunate truth is that The Undoing Season 2 will most likely not happen because there just doesn't appear to be a place for it at the moment. We can never say never because there is always a possibility of these things happening in the future. But for now, unfortunately, it doesn't seem likely at all. What do you think about The Undoing? Would you like to see Season 2? Let us know in the comments below. And that concludes today's video of why The Undoing Season 2 won't happen. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Make sure to turn on the post notifications so you be the first to hear about my next video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.